Welcome to the Narcissist Slayers podcast. We are your co-hosts, Hope J.
and Lynn Catalano.
Tune in every month as we teach you how to slay the emotional vampire in your life.
Hope J is an attorney and founder of the Center for Hope Western New York, a nonprofit organization providing low and no-cost resources to victims of narcissistic abuse. Visit our website at centerforhopewny.org for more information.
And Lynn Catalano is an attorney and a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. She's the author of Wrecking Ball Relationships. Find out more about Lynn at lynncatalano.com. We are both survivors of narcissistic abuse, and we bring our personal experiences and professional expertise to help you on your path to healing.
Please support us by hitting that subscribe button. We are on YouTube and Spotify at the Narcissist Slayers Podcast.
And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at the Narcissist Slayers Podcast. Send us your questions to narcslayers@centerforhopewny.org.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Together, we will help you slay the narcissist in your life and reclaim your power.
Today, we have a really important topic that we're going to be discussing. And I know that you and I have spent a lot of time preparing to talk about this. But before we get into the meat of the podcast, I wanted to talk to our listeners a little bit. This is our last podcast of 2025.
But not our last podcast.
Right, of 2025. And there's just a couple of housekeeping things I wanted to tell people and remind people about the Beacon of Hope fundraiser that we talked about in our last podcast, our November podcast. But every year for the Center for Hope of Western New York, we have an online virtual fundraiser called the Beacon of Hope. And Lynn, maybe you can just share a little bit why we named it that, because that was actually your brainchild.
So, when you're in any kind of toxic relationship, especially a narcissistic relationship, you need to find that lighthouse, that beacon of hope in order to keep yourself going. And, it could be anyone. It could be a friend, a relative, a family member. It could be anyone. It could even be the Center for Hope.
That's right.
And so
That's right.
That's what we want you to be, that beacon of hope for someone going through this type of relationship. And
That's right. And, I wanted to tell people, if you enjoy this podcast, Lynn and I put out this content every month. There's no cost associated with you listening to us. And, we hope that the information we're giving you is helpful. But if you want to support people who are recovering from this type of abuse, you can go right to our website at centerforhopewny.org, and you can click right on the donate button, and it'll take you straight to the Beacon of Hope fundraiser. And for only $25, you can support a survivor of narcissistic abuse. So we would be very, very grateful if our listeners would support the organization.
And just to be clear, what does that mean, supporting the individual? That means helping them participate in much needed support groups that we provide through the Center for Hope, through our affiliated providers, through our qualified licensed therapists.
Yes.
And these support groups are so well received and so needed.
They sure are.
A lot of people going through this have financial trouble as well. And through your generosity, we are able to support people and help them pay for those support groups.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. And there's just one other thing that I think we were excited to share with our audience. So go ahead. You can tell them.
2026 is going to be a big, big year for the Narcissist Slayers. And we can't tell you everything right now, but stay tuned. We have a lot going on.
Yeah. We've got some really exciting changes that are coming. And I think we mentioned this a couple of times, but we also have a workbook that's going to be coming out next year. So we're very excited. We are working really hard and always trying to improve the content that we're putting out, and, hopefully touching, so many people's lives who are listening to us all across the country and across the world. It's so exciting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of really important content, today we decided that we're going to talk about something I think we probably touched on here and there in other podcasts, but we've never actually devoted a whole podcast to it.
Oh, really?
So no, I don't believe we have. Yeah.
Well, for so many people, I think that it's enough. It's enough to have suffered narcissistic abuse from someone you thought loved you the most. It's enough to have going through that shock that you're not able to trust this person. It's enough to be so trauma bonded to them that you're actually embarrassed to even talk about it with other people. And then,
Mm.
and then, as if all of that wasn't enough, you discover that that person is portraying themselves as the victim
Yep.
and creating this elaborate cover story portraying you as the villain to your community, to your friends, to your family, maybe even to your workplace. Just too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So it's the smear campaign, which is accompanied by the famous acronym DARVO, right? Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. And that is the basis, the foundation of the smear campaign.
Wow.
And you're right because you're traumatized from the relationship and you're depleted and you're an emotional wreck. And when you finally get the strength to end it, it's not the end. For many, many people,
Right.
this is just the beginning
Yep.
of the onslaught
Yeah.
of the smear campaign. And Lynn, I know that you talk about this quite a bit in your practice. I believe you've done a number of blogs and other informational videos and things like that. So just for people who are tuning in right now and maybe they don't know what the smear campaign is, can you just explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the smear campaign is a tactic that narcissists like to use. Now, remember, these are people who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. Um, they can't process any kind of confrontation. They're not going to take responsibility and they like to blame shift. So, Darvo basically is a really great way of describing how they turn the tables.
Mhm.
And, smear campaigns are like damage control for their image. And we know, um, wait, what's the great term that you use? The director of impression management,
Oh yeah, impression
who
manager.
they
Yeah,
are? Yeah.
yes, yeah.
So, okay, so they narcissists use this when they recognize, when they become aware that they've been exposed. And exposure, could be you just talking to your support network. And, smear campaigns are frequently used to depict you, the victim, as insane, bipolar, an
Hmm.
addict, alcoholic,
Hmm.
unstable, gold digger, thief,
Hmm.
cheater, or a poor parent. Name it. Name
Yep.
negative, they're going to use it, right?
Absolutely. And I mean you kind of went through that list, but if you think about, each one of those labels, each one carries such enormous emotional weight and consequences for the person who is being accused of these things. And we're going to talk about that in more depth,
Yeah.
as we go deeper into the podcast. But yes, I mean, it can be absolutely shocking to people what the narcissist is capable of. And typically the smear campaign is a part of, what you're going to endure and experience when you dare to end the relationship. If you're the one that chooses to end it, that's when you tend to find that they do this, complete 180, and suddenly this person that you had shared a life with, that you had shared a home with, that maybe you've shared children with, they are coming at you with both barrels and everything they have, to harm you emotionally, to harm you financially, maybe to harm you physically, to harm your reputation, to destroy you. Basically, we call it scorched earth.
Oof. But
Yeah.
I just want to remind our listeners, I know that we talk a lot about romantic relationships and the fact that these happen often during divorce, during any kind of separation. And I know you have a huge amount of experience, a vast amount of experience with people who have suffered this. However, I want to remind you, this could also happen during any kind
Mhm.
of personal relationship that you end. And
You're
for
right.
me, that was with a relationship with my father, my
Yep.
parent
Yep.
used a smear campaign against me. Like that was to say that's devastating. I feel like it's devastating when a partner does it. When a parent does it, it's a whole new low. And remember, smear campaigns, they use them because they can no longer control you. So they're
That's right.
now going to control how people see you. They're going to
Yep.
assassinate your character. That is very important to remember. But this could also happen at work. Guess what?
Hmm.
Very easy to start a smear campaign against someone at work, whether it's because you want their job or you just want their job eliminated. It does happen with frequency. And I also want to remind you, one of our very favorite people on the planet, who is perhaps the most well-known expert in narcissistic abuse, Dr. Ramani Durvasula,
Hmm.
she refers to smear campaigns as large-scale gaslighting.
Hmm.
Because gaslighting involves manipulating someone into questioning their own perceptions,
Yep.
memory, or sanity, right? Smear campaigns not only spread rumors about the narcissist victim, but they attempt to distort reality,
Yes.
like gaslighting. So I did want to share that. Also, I want you to know that narcissistic smear campaigns um, include several very important elements. Number one, they're always seeking revenge.
Yes.
Number two, the narcissist's actions are intentional and purposeful.
Yes.
Never doubt that. And number three, their goal is always, 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 always to punish you, the victim,
Yes.
without a doubt. Now, and the other big issue is why do they do this? Why? Remember when I started with enough, 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 enough. Why do they do this? Well, we go back to people who suffer from NPD are rooted deeply in insecurity, right? Deep, deep insecurity. Well, their fragile ego relies heavily on other people's perception of them. Say,
Yes.
always say it, right? But they have to use a smear campaign in order to control how other people see them. And it's their defense mechanism. Okay. So now we know why, we know what it is, we know where you could do it. Let's talk about the incredibly deep effects that it has on the individual who the smear campaign is targeted against. And I know, Hope, you have had a lot of experience with people who've had this happen to them.
Yes. Without revealing any personal information, I just wanted to talk about uh, the consequences to you, to our listeners, to the people who are the victims of this kind of a campaign. And truthfully, it might be the worst part of what you go through when you're escaping from a narcissist. I mean, I'm saying that because I also endured one when I left, and and when I was going through this as a support system with somebody else recently, and was kind of involved in it again as a support. And I was seeing, and reading the emails that she had been subjected to, and all of the abuse that she had been subjected to. I almost was suffering like PTSD myself
Wow. Wow.
because
Triggering.
uh, it was so traumatizing to be exposed because we know this about narcissists. They're all the same. It's like this the weirdest thing that they fall back and rely on kind of the same types of emotional abuse tactics and psychological abuse tactics. And but when you haven't experienced it before and you're isolated, and most people are isolated when they're going through something like this and they have no context for it, it's absolutely terrifying because they're dragging you down this rabbit hole of gaslighting, and threats and accusations and blame shifting and you name it, they're doing it. And they're coming at you with both barrels because you absolutely nailed it, Lynn. The reason why they're doing it is because they've lost control over you.
Yeah.
And it's when you dare to leave
Yep.
and that or end the relationship, set some boundaries where you no longer are willing to engage. If you're in an interfamiliar relationship like you were with a parent, if you're in a romantic relationship, you have decided, you're going to protect yourself and that relationship is over. Maybe you filed for divorce, whatever it is, then you are faced with the onslaught of, all of these things that you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah.
And I don't think most of us are emotionally prepared for the depth of their venom
Yeah.
and their, I
Yeah.
don't even know how else to describe it, but venom and hatred and their, single-minded desire to destroy you. I always tell my clients when you're divorcing a narcissist, you're not playing on the same board.
Yep.
You are coming at it from the perspective of, I want what's best for my children. I want to try to co-parent if I can. I'm trying to put our differences aside for the betterment of the children. They're not coming at it from that perspective.
No.
They're coming at it from, you dared to leave me, I'm going to destroy you. That's it.
Yep.
And the children are going to be collateral damage in this. Your reputation likely may be collateral damage in this. Your mental health is going to be collateral damage in this. A lot of times, because you're getting it from all sides. They may involve family members in it. They may involve your mutual friend group in it. So not only are you getting it from them in the constant onslaught of text messages and emails and phone calls and the accusations of what a horrible person you are and how can you do this to them and this whole kind of thing. But you may be hearing it from the flying monkeys, right? Their family members, their friends, your mutual friends. And I always tell people those are not safe people. If they are engaging in the smear campaign against you with the narcissist, unfortunately, those are people that you're also going to have to cut off because they don't understand they're being manipulated and they are also harmful and dangerous to you.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I see people go through, for example, this person who I just was supporting through it, this person, the narcissist that she decided she was going to leave, he immediately turned around and decided that he was going to do basically everything that he could to try to destroy her from every possible angle that he
Wow.
could. And that meant contacting her current employer.
Wow.
That meant contacting her ex-husband. He was not her ex-husband. She did not have children with him. He was unfortunately a partner that she chose after the divorce from the husband. So he decided that he was going to contact the ex-husband and
Wow.
try and give the ex-husband information that then the ex-husband could use against this person in a potential custody case.
Wow.
So not only was he trying to destroy her by destroying her livelihood and contacting her employer and feeding her employer lies and telling her employer things that weren't true, but just, enough information that might make them question her, contacting the ex-husband, similar kinds of information, threatening to go to the police, threatening, all kinds of just constant threats. And of course, what they do, a lot of times, these guys, and this is a major red flag, these guys are stalkers. All right. So they're going to be stalking you, whether it be on social media, whether it be in real life. But suddenly you are feeling incredibly unsafe, Lynn. You're feeling unsafe in your own home. You're feeling unsafe in your own skin. You're afraid that they're going to show up at your place of employment. They're going to show up, somewhere where they're not supposed to be and continue this onslaught of this smear campaign against you and these threats and accusations. And I think what happens to people, I know, what happens to people is you are so traumatized by all of this stuff that's coming at you that we honestly, our cortisol levels are like through the roof. We're now in fight or flight every minute of the day because we're terrified of opening our computers because now there's going to be another email, or looking at our phones because now there's going to be another text, or looking outside because they might be lurking, at the end of the driveway, or going anywhere because they might be following you to the store, or wherever they show up, wherever you are. And maybe they're not threatening you because they're smart enough not to do that in a physical sense, but they're trying to intimidate you nonetheless by being ever present and not letting you have a moment's peace, because they're everywhere. And they are trying to debilitate you. They are trying to make you feel afraid. They are trying to undermine you. They are trying to essentially control you, because if they can threaten and intimidate you enough, then guess what? Maybe you'll come back. Maybe you'll
Wow.
come back. Maybe you won't follow through with leaving them. That's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. And maybe they were successful in that campaign of, stalking you and doing all those kinds of things. Maybe you tried to leave before. It's very possible, because it takes the average woman 7 times to successfully leave their abuser because of these kinds of tactics, because of the smear campaign and the stalking and all these other kinds of things. So if you are being subjected to this right now, I know that you are going through some extreme trauma, real trauma, okay? And it's real. It's real because you are afraid, because they have caused you to feel afraid that you might lose your livelihood at any minute, that you might lose your children at any minute, that your family members and friends are turning against you.
So, Hope, let me stop you because I feel like you've got our listeners' attention. Okay.
Yeah,
And so, what can they do? Like, let's say this person is listening right now and they're saying, "Oh my God, she's talking about me.
yeah, yeah,
What can I do?"
yeah, yeah.
And like,
So, so
I have a
yeah,
few things that I give my clients, but I want you to give a legal perspective first.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, and not for nothing, if you are going through something like this, you're not going to be like in your right mind. You're not going to be in your present mind, because they've they've knocked you down. They have
No.
harmed you in an emotional and psychological sense. A lot of times women are unable to sleep.
Yeah.
They're unable to eat. I know multiple people have lost, 15, 20 pounds when they're going through something like this. Maybe you've gone to seek help from a counselor or a doctor to put you on some sort of anxiety or antidepressant medication,
Yeah.
or something to help you sleep, because it feels intolerable
Yeah.
when you're going through it. So what can you do? What can you do? I am telling you that there are many states now that are recognizing these kinds of coercive control and emotionally abusive tactics that these guys do, the things that they do. And if you are being harassed or stalked, or you're getting a constant emails from this person, and by constant I mean sometimes people are receiving emails and texts, Lynn, up to like 50 to 100 a day.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. These things are criminal. These are criminal acts. They think they're above the law, and they think that they cannot be, there cannot be consequences for their actions. But if you go and seek out, now I'm going to tell you this, a lot of times law enforcement is not particularly helpful. Okay. If they haven't done anything where they have physically threatened you or physically intimidated you, they may refer you back to family court. But if you find a good family law attorney who understands, what they're doing, you can file for an order of protection in a civil court. You can file a family offense petition, even if you've had no children with this person and it's just a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You can file and you can obtain a stay away order of protection in civil court, even if you're not able to do it through the criminal channels. And I highly, highly advise women who are being subjected to something like this, that they do file for an order of protection, because you want it documented that they are, you know, harassing you and that they're stalking you and that, you know, all the things that they're doing, you want it documented. And if you're able to obtain that order of protection, a lot of times these guys don't follow court orders, but sometimes they do. And if you are able to obtain that order of protection, it may stop the behavior. And if you're able to obtain that order of protection and they violate it, then you can file criminal charges. Then you will be able to
Okay.
go into a criminal court or
Okay.
go down to the police station, and you will be able to say, I have this order of protection.
Right.
Here are all the text messages he sent me. Here are all the emails. This is what he's doing. I want to file criminal contempt charges. So the number one thing that I tell people is these guys have to be held accountable. And I know how scary it is.
Yeah. It
You're
is.
so scared
Yeah.
because of all the threats they've made
Yep.
and all the things that they've done. You're very, very scared. But the thing is that they need to be held accountable.
Okay. What should you do? You mentioned that there was one narcissist who was contacting the victims or the person that left them their place of employment.
Yes. So in her particular circumstance, she got a very supportive a reaction from her place
Oh,
of employment.
good. Good.
So she was able to obtain that civil order of protection, and she presented that to her employer, and her employer was supportive and understood that she was being subjected to harassment.
Great.
However, I know of other situations where people weren't as lucky. And unfortunately, their employers were not as supportive. And I know of people who actually lost their jobs
Oh my God.
because of this person interfering in their workplace. And sometimes employers they don't want to have to deal with this kind of thing,
Yeah.
and they're not interested, and they don't want to hear from either side. They just don't want to have the drama in their place of employment. So unfortunately, not all employers are going to understand this.
Yeah.
But if you are able to speak to somebody in human resources, if you are able to obtain that order of protection, and you are able to explain that you are a victim of harassment, you are a victim of stalking, my prayer for you is that you have a supportive employer who understands, domestic violence.
Yeah.
So.
I would add to that on the non-legal side that unfortunately, any attempt by you to try and prove this person wrong, to try and disprove the smear campaign can come off looking vindictive. And so, as difficult as it is, I'm here to tell you that you need to just hold your head high. No, you didn't do those things. And as Hope mentioned, the mutual friends that you had that you thought were your friends and they're now spreading that smear campaign are not your friends. And you need to just let them go and move on. And I know that's difficult. I lived that difficult piece of that. But if you're one-on-one with someone and they might mention, hey, I heard blah, 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 you might say to them, yes, you're correct. We are no longer in a relationship. We don't have a relationship any longer. But I assure you that anything else was false. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Like, just be very brief, and don't go into any kind of detail that would portray you negatively. I'm that person is quite angry that things ended, and this is how they're asserting themselves.
That's really good advice, Lynn, and I would second that in a situation where you do not feel that you are either physically not, if you don't feel safe
Yeah.
from a physical sense, or the we talked about, like they're contacting your employer.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know,
whole
they're
different ballgame.
it's those smear campaigns there can be different levels of a smear campaign,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
I
And
agree.
I would absolutely agree with you that if it's at the level where, they're spreading falsehoods and they're trying to recruit people onto their side and they're trying to make themselves be the victim in the whole thing and in those situations, I agree. Trying to engage is not, there you if they people know the people who know you and the people who
I
really
agree.
know you,
I agree.
they're not going to believe any of this stuff anyway,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
So they know you, they know who you are, and you don't have to defend yourself. And if you feel the need to have to defend yourself, then those people probably are not people that you want to, like you mentioned earlier, that you
Yep.
want to keep in your life.
I agree. I
Um,
agree a
so
thousand percent.
yeah,
I agree. I will tell you, it was helpful for me because it did not escalate to the point that Hope talked about with legal issues.
yes,
But it was helpful to me to read the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, because I will tell you, one of the four agreements is not to take things personally, and that is very difficult for me. I am here to tell you of the four agreements, I wake up every day knowing that two I do very well and two are a very big challenge for me. And one of those is not taking things personally. And in the book, the author refers to when you take things personally, you lose your power, and that you empower yourself if you can rise above that, and also that comments are a reflection of the commentator's reality, not yours. And I think that's such a powerful statement because this person, like no one is more hurt and more angry than a narcissist being accused of something they did. So
right.
I know that you have to listen to that twice, but
Yes.
understand.
No, no, I,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
um, just know that, and know that the people that you're left with may be a very small circle, and that may be your circle going forward. And those people are very important to your health and your mental health and your emotional health. And they are your support network. So you know the
Yeah.
truth and they know the truth.
Yeah.
Agreed?
And the thing is, while you're being subjected to this, it feels like it's never going to end. It may feel like it's never going to get better.
Yeah.
You may struggle, within yourself. Like, do I have the emotional ability to be able to, deal with this? So reaching out to people for support, whether it be those friends and family that you mentioned, whether it be going to a counselor, I think it's incredibly important that you have emotional support going through this.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up if you do need to, maybe go on some medication just to kind of get through this, you know, horrible time to be able to get to the other side. You're human. It's okay. Because really narcissists can drive people to the brink, of their absolute sanity and their ability to manage, even if you're somebody that generally manages things quite well. And once you're subjected to something like this, and you're unfortunately like all day, every day having to be, like I said, fight or flight, wondering what's going to happen next. What are they going to say next? What are they going to send next? What are they going to threaten next? Who are they going to try and talk to? How are they going to try and hurt me next? It's an awful way to have to live, and you're kind of in a suspended place depending on how long they continue this horrible campaign against you.
I think that we have covered a lot of the smear campaign today. I would hope that if any of our listeners have specific questions for us, they would send them to our email.
It's narcslayers at centerforhopewny.org. Yep.
Please
Yes.
send us an email there if you have more
Or
specific questions.
comment on this video. Yes,
We will definitely
absolutely.
respond to you. Yes, we want to know what else you're interested in, and if you have further questions, please.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next year
Happy New
on the
Year,
Narcissist Layers. Yes, Happy
2026.
New Year.